Greetings and salutations, my lovelies. I know that in the previous video I had promised that this week would be another 11 by 17 large piece, but as I'm sure you can already tell, that is not the case. I did post a little bit about this on my Facebook earlier on Wednesday to give people who watch both a heads up that this was going to happen. But basically, there's a lot going on in my life right now, and I just haven't had the time to really devote myself to working on that commission that was going to be this week's video, and I want to make sure that it's not rushed because it's a commission and I want to make sure that it's really good, as you know, the best that I can do anyway. Plus, you know, 2 days ago, Tuesday, was Valentine's Day, and I didn't really do any Valentine's Day-ish art, and I feel like I want to start getting into seasonal themed pieces. So what you saw at the very beginning of the video was actually some older work that I had done. I'm honestly not even sure how many years ago at this point, where I had basically just made my own cute little geeky Valentine's Day card kind of things. And I decided that I kind of wanted to see what it would be like to redraw them, see if I could do, you know, better or at least something different with it, and actually color them, because they never actually got colored initially. So what I ended up doing is resizing them to, they were originally like a really odd size. They were like half of an 8.5 by 11, so they were like 8.5 by 6.5, or no, something weird like that, 5.5. Anyway, kind of odd size. So I scanned them all, I resized them to 5 by 7, and that's the size that I'm working in for these new versions of them. So I used the Lightbox to basically do, you know, the lettering, because I liked the original lettering. It was cute, it was hand done, it was, you know, it's not like, you know, it's not lettering like, you know, there are artists out there who do lettering, but whatever, I liked the way that they looked. And so, you know, did that and kind of made sure that my figures I was drawing were going to fall within that space by doing like a quick like outline or whatever, you know, just guidelines on the page, and then did the new sketches for the new pieces. And what you didn't get to see obviously was me using the Lightbox to ink the pieces that I'm now coloring. Eventually I will work out the best way to try to film my use of the Lightbox so that you guys can actually watch the inking process on videos like this. Sorry, it's like 4 a.m. while I'm recording this voiceover, and I'm really tired, so I'm maybe a little more rambling than normal. Anyway, so I mentioned the whole, you know, it's Valentine's Day and there's a lot, so I want to do Valentine's art, and before that I mentioned that there's a lot going on in my life. Well, I'm getting married next week. Yay! I am extremely excited about this. It makes me very, very happy. However, that is kind of time-consuming and stressful, and, you know, as much as it's very, very happiness, it's also like, oh god, there are so many things I have to do. This was something we, you know, planned to do. You know, the engagement ring has been in the pretty much almost every video. But we just recently decided that instead of putting it off until we could afford a nice wedding, we'd just go to the courthouse and get it done, because we just want to be married and just spend our lives together. So that's what's happening next week. So also another reason why I kind of wanted to do cute lovey pieces is because I've kind of had that on my mind a lot, and, you know, I'm feeling all like squee and everything. And also, again, why I haven't had nearly as much time as I would like to devote to my artwork and to make sure that I'm getting large, elaborate, beautiful pieces done for you. But I hope that you enjoy this video just the same. Don't forget that I always have all of my social media stuff down in the description, so you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, etc. I think that might be it. But also on Patreon, where if you support me, you can see my works in progress as I'm creating things. You won't necessarily see the finished product before I post it, but you will get an idea of the kinds of things that I'm working on. You'll see like practice sketches and planning sketches and things like that that other people won't get to see. And yeah, things like that. So that link is also in the description. Also, I wanted to say that I am going to try to have a video next week. It may or may not be the 11 by 17 commission. I'm not going to promise that straight out of the gate this time, but I am going to try. And otherwise, I don't know for certain, because I do have a convention that I'm going to be leaving for next Thursday, and the wedding on Tuesday, and yeah, it's going to be kind of a busy week. Here's kind of a quick overview of what I thought of each of these, the new piece versus the old. Overall, I do think that my art has improved, and so most of them are, you know, technically better than the previous ones. But at the same time, there's some give and take. For example, the "You're so kawaii, I could just cry." The overall adorableness and kind of open, innocent cuteness of the character in the older version, I feel like I kind of lost that with the new version. She's kind of more confident, and she's, you know, better proportioned, and she looks like she's actually standing as opposed to somehow floating oddly, but there's a certain amount of that, like, again, just cuteness that for some reason I feel like might be lost. That being said, I still really enjoy the new piece. I think it just did lose a bit of that edge compared to what it used to be. The "Won't You Be My OTP," overall, I did keep it very similar. I feel like the character in the new one has a lot more like dimension to her body. You know, she actually appears to have hips with the way that the skirt flares out. I added the stockings to be a kind of, you know, a little more cute with it. One thing that you probably noticed when I started on the sketch is that I already had the hands with the package drawn and or sketched out, and that's because I honestly don't think that I could have done that any better, because hands are still very difficult, and foreshortening like that is still very difficult. So I honestly did just copy that directly, but I still reshaped the figure a bit. I made her look a little less creepy because you can actually see more of her face. In the original, her eyes are almost completely covered, and so, you know, I feel like that just was very kind of off-putting, and so I made her kind of a little more cute and sporty looking with the wild, shorter hair and the little headband just as a simple accent. But at the same time, tried to keep her kind of like an every girl kind of, you could identify with who this is. She's not like this outrageous character that, you know, isn't somebody that you could relate to. I don't know why that was important, but that was my thought process during that one. And lastly, the "You Make Me Feel Like a Magical Girl." I can honestly say that this is my favorite. Both because, like, the concept is the most fun and out there, but also the new art compared to the original, whilst being very similar, is also just, I like it so much more. You know, I specifically tried to give her a more dynamic pose, because when you're watching Magical Girl anime, you know, they always have like this really outrageous pose that they do after they introduce themselves, and, you know, I wanted her to be more open and confident looking, and I think I did a really good job on that, and I wasn't entirely sure with my color scheme starting out, but I really enjoyed the way that turned out as well. And basically, I just love everything about this one, and I hope that you guys like it too, because it is definitely my favorite. And that's it. I probably have rambled more than I wanted to, but anyway, thank you as always for watching my video. I very much appreciate it, and I love you all, and I hope you have a wonderful week.